I still remember that morning. My hands were shaking as I sipped my coffee, trying to calm myself down. I had landed an interview with Denholt Industries, one of the biggest consulting firms in the city. It felt like everything I had worked for was finally falling into place. I wore my best navy suit, rehearsed my answers, and even gave myself a little pep talk in the mirror before stepping out. But nothing could have prepared me for what was waiting behind those glass doors. As I walked into the sleek lobby, I was met by a receptionist who barely looked up. After checking my name, she pointed me toward the waiting area. I sat there, my resume folder clutched in my lap, heart pounding. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Just when I was about to ask if they had forgotten about me, a tall woman in heels approached. "You're Nana Taylor?" she asked with a smirk. I nodded. "Follow me." She led me into a conference room where 3 men and another woman were already seated. Their eyes scanned me, not with interest, but with amusement. Something felt off. The tall woman, now clearly the lead interviewer, introduced herself as Clara Beecham, head of HR. She smiled, but it wasn't warm. "Let's begin, shall we?" she said, and just like that, the nightmare started. At first, I thought maybe they were just breaking the ice, but it quickly became clear they weren't interested in my experience or my skills. "You have a degree from a community college?" one of the men asked, raising an eyebrow. I nodded. "Yes, but I also graduated top of my class and—" I tried to explain, but he interrupted with a laugh. "Adorable." The other woman, whose name I later learned was Lauren, chimed in. "You were unemployed for over a year? What did you even do with your time? Netflix and naps?" I froze. "I was caring for my mother who had cancer," I said softly. The room went quiet for a second, but then someone coughed and Clara leaned forward. "Let's move on," she said, clearly unfazed. They threw question after question at me, none of them about the actual job. One asked why I didn't wear makeup. Another asked how I planned to fit into a high-performance culture when I looked so plain. I felt like I was on trial, not in an interview. My stomach turned, but I kept my posture straight. I answered every question calmly, even as the laughter around the table made my face burn. By the end of the hour, I was drained. When they finally dismissed me, Clara didn't even look up from her notes. "Thanks for coming," she said flatly. I walked out with my dignity in pieces. But what they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I wasn't just any woman off the street. And they were going to find that out very soon. As I stepped out of the building, I could still hear their laughter. It echoed in my mind louder than the traffic outside. My chest felt tight, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. How could people be so cruel? I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel, replaying every moment, every smirk, every insult, every dismissive glance. I had worked hard for everything. I didn't come from money. I didn't have fancy degrees or powerful connections, but I had grit. I had spent nights studying while working 2 jobs. I had cared for my dying mother without complaint. And still, in that room, they saw none of it, just someone they could mock. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not for them. Not for people like Clara. I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror and whispered, "They don't know who you are, but they will." That wasn't just a promise. It was the beginning of something I hadn't planned, but would soon become unstoppable. I didn't drive home right away. I sat there, thinking, remembering. There was a reason I chose Denholt, a reason I applied. I knew something they didn't. I knew the man who owned it, intimately. And that changed everything. Months ago, before all this, I had met a man at a quiet art gallery downtown. His name was Charles. We talked about paintings, travel, philosophy. He was kind, brilliant, and mysterious. He didn't tell me what he did at first, and I didn't press. I liked him for who he was, not his money or status. That made him open up to me more. After a few weeks, he finally revealed the truth. "I'm the founder of Denholt," he said one evening over wine. I nearly dropped my glass. He laughed and told me most people just wanted something from him. But with me, things felt different. And they were. We kept our relationship private. He asked me not to tell anyone who he was. I want to know who sees you, not your connections, he said, so I agreed. No social media posts, no name dropping, not even to my friends. It was strange at times, especially when he invited me to private dinners with board members or quietly walked me through his penthouse plans. But I trusted him. Then one night, I told him I wanted to earn my place in the corporate world, on my own. I didn't want handouts. I wanted to be respected. So I applied to Denholt without using his name. I thought it would be a quiet way to prove myself. He raised an eyebrow when I told him. If that's what you want, he said, but keep a low profile. Let them show you who they really are. I didn't know what he meant at the time. Now I did. I hadn't told anyone about the interview. I felt humiliated. But that changed when my best friend Talia called me 3 days later. Nina, she said, voice shaky, you need to watch the office security feed. What? I asked, confused. How do you even have that? She explained her cousin worked in IT at Denholt. He'd heard about some HR folks bullying a woman during an interview and checked the cameras out of curiosity. What he found shocked even him. They didn't know the room had audio, she said. You need to see this. My heart pounded as she sent the file. I opened it, hands trembling. The footage showed me walking in, smiling nervously. Then the audio kicked in, and everything came back. Only now it was worse hearing it from the outside. Clara mimicking my voice, Lauren mocking my clothes, the men joking about letting the charity case talk for fun. I felt sick. Then, just before I left, Clara leaned toward the others and said, "Can you believe she thought she had a chance here? What a waste of makeup. Oh, wait, she didn't wear any." They all burst into laughter. I closed the laptop. I had never felt so small. And yet, at that moment, something inside me clicked. I wasn't the one who should be ashamed. They were. And I had proof now. But I wasn't going to send it to HR or post it online like some quick revenge. No, I had something far better in mind. Because while they were laughing, I was about to rewrite the rules. A week later, Charles invited me to the annual Denholt Gala. It was a black tie affair, full of city elites, industry giants, and polished smiles. I hadn't planned to go. Part of me still felt that sting of the interview, but another part, the stronger part, was ready. I wore a sleek black gown, elegant, quiet, timeless. Charles met me at the entrance, offering his arm like always. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded. I was more than ready. We walked into the ballroom, heads turning as we entered. I knew some of them recognized me, but none more than Clara. She was standing by the champagne tower, laughing with a group of executives. Her smile dropped the second she saw me on Charles's arm. She blinked like she was seeing a ghost. Lauren, standing next to her, nearly choked on her drink. I didn't say a word, just smiled. Charles introduced me to board members, shareholders, and division heads. The same people Clara had probably bragged to. The same ones who would soon be making big decisions. Without her. As the evening continued, I caught snippets of their whispers. Who is she? That's Charles's partner. Wait, that's the girl from the interview? By the time Charles went up to speak on stage, the entire room was buzzing. And then, he dropped the bomb. "I'd like to take a moment," he said, "to introduce someone I deeply respect. Someone who has shown grace under pressure, strength, through silence, and who will now be leading one of our newest divisions." He looked straight at me, and the room exploded in gasps. I felt the room tilt ever so slightly as Charles spoke my name into the microphone. "Her name," he said, "is Nina Taylor." A hush fell over the ballroom. You could hear the clink of a fork dropping. Clara's face went pale, and Lauren visibly swayed. I stepped forward slowly, every heel click echoing like thunder. My heart pounded, but I walked tall, chin up, shoulders back. I could feel the weight of 100 eyes on me, but I only looked at one face. Clara's. "I've asked Nina to oversee our new strategic inclusion division," Charles continued. "Her vision, her resilience, and her experience make her the ideal choice to lead this change within Denholt. She will have full hiring